This is the latest photo released by NASA. It was taken when Orion flew past the moon. Every single picture is a breathtaking moment. Because this is not a concept image, but for the first time in 50 years, footage that humanity has truly brought back from a manned lunar orbit mission. The ones released first were captured when the Orion spacecraft was approaching the moon. When these photos were taken, they were preparing to complete this flyby. And this flyby also broke the record for humanity's furthest manned flight distance from Earth. At their furthest, they were at a distance of about 406,771 kilometers. In that image, Earth can still be seen in the distance. It is very small, hiding behind a crescent moon. In a single photo, it captured Earth, the moon, and this perspective where the spacecraft is located. This fact alone is already very interesting. This next group is a unique deep space perspective, because they captured a total solar eclipse seen during the lunar orbit flyby. What you are looking at now is how the moon, from the crew's perspective, blocks out the sun. It will likely become one of the most memorable photos from this batch. The entire moon is pressed in front of the sun, with a faint ring of glimmering light on the left. That light is not leaking from the sun, but is actually light reflected from Earth. In other words, when this photo was taken, Earth was actually just outside the frame. It just wasn't captured in the shot. Even more incredible, this total solar eclipse lasted for almost 54 minutes. The total solar eclipses we see on Earth usually last only a few minutes. But this time, they were in deep space and watched it for nearly an hour. Furthermore, what they saw was not just the sun being blocked, but also the corona, usually hard to see with the naked eye. And the background isn't just black. If you look closely, you can also see a few planets. The ones identified in the photo are Saturn, Mars, and Mercury. There's also another image where Venus can be seen, with a longer exposure time. The stars in the background also came into view. In addition, the crew also mentioned that during this flyby process, they saw 6 flashes of meteoroid impacts on the lunar surface. So, some bright spots appearing in the footage cannot simply be explained as the same type of thing in a single sentence. Then you can also see the sun starting to slowly emerge from behind the moon again, which means that nearly an hour of darkness has come to an end. At this moment, another detail is noticeable. The edge of the moon is not a smooth line, but rather bumpy and undulating. This is what the real lunar terrain looks like, directly outlined by the light. A few photos are incredibly beautiful, where the moon is gently lit by faint light reflected from Earth. You can even make out some dark areas on the lunar surface that are usually not very obvious. And beside the frame, Venus can also be seen, besides shots purely capturing celestial bodies. The official release also included a few photos that captured the Orion spacecraft as well. The feeling of this kind of photo is very different, because it constantly reminds you that these were not sent by an automated pro. Behind the lens, there are real people. So next, let's look at the people who took these photos. The official release showed footage of the astronauts making observations, such as before the solar eclipse began, when they all put on observation glasses. Even in space, you still need protection to watch a solar eclipse. Someone is holding up a camera, shooting out the window. Someone is looking at the footage just captured. And someone is just leaning against the porthole, quietly looking out. In one of the pictures, you can also see that they blocked the windows, just to minimize reflections inside the spacecraft and make filming easier. Next, it is time to look at the real close-ups of the moon. This set starts to bring details of the moon's surface closer. First, the most eye-catching area is Mare Orientale. This is a very typical and well-preserved large impact structure on the moon. From these photos, you can clearly see ring after ring of circular marks, 19. The surrounding area is also densely covered with impact craters of all sizes. Usually when looking at the moon, most of the time we just see a bright disk. But at this distance and under these lighting conditions, the craters, ridges, and shadows on the moon's surface, as well as the topographical relief, all suddenly pop into view. Moreover, they were not just taking beautiful pictures this time. During the flyover, the crew also recorded and described the features of the lunar surface, including impact craters, ancient lava flows, surface rills, and ridges, as well as differences in color, brightness, and texture. This information will help scientists better understand the composition and history of the moon's surface. Because what you see before your eyes is not just the relief of the moon's surface. Billions of years ago, lava once flowed here. And it has also been struck by asteroids countless times. Every crater on the moon almost certainly matches one, or even multiple, actual impact events. And now, we are looking at these traces of history, which span billions of years from close up. The next few images continue to show the area near Mare Orientale. You can see bright impact craters with radiating patterns, as well as large dark areas of lunar mare, and that three-dimensional effect brought out by the Terminator line. There is a particularly bright spot in the photo, which is the Aristarchus crater. And there's also a very round, dark area, which is Grimaldi. Moving further along, there are some even closer close-ups, such as Bergius, and also Vavilov. On the right of this image, you can also see the transition from rugged mountainous terrain to a smoother lunar surface. Another example is the South Pole Aitken Basin. The latter is essential, because it is one of the largest and oldest basins on the moon. You will find that, from this perspective, the moon is no longer just familiar. It starts to become very unfamiliar. Many places even look a bit unlike the moon we usually recognize. Then, there's the set that many people love the most. The moon and Earth in the same frame. In this set, the first thing to appear is the Earth set, or the Earth setting. A bluish Earth with bright cloud layers slowly sets behind the lunar horizon. The side of the Earth that is darkening is in the middle of the night, while the part illuminated by the sun still shows cloud systems near Australia and Oceania. The lunar surface in the foreground is worth seeing, as is that striking impact crater in the frame. It is own crater. Its edges are layered. The crater bottom is quite flat. In the middle, you can see a central peak. This is actually a structure left behind after the lunar surface collapsed and rebounded from a huge impact. It easily reminds people of those classic photos from the Apollo era. But this time, it is not a recreation of old photos. Instead, it is a new mission and perspective. These are images captured anew during the new flyby process. Moreover, the timing of one of the shots is very critical. Taken 3 minutes before the crew flew to the far side of the moon and was about to lose contact. Right after, they entered the blackout zone on the far side. This loss of contact lasted for a full 40 minutes. Of course, all of this was within the plan, because radio signals cannot directly pass through the moon. As long as they fly to the far side, the Earth side temporarily loses contact with them. And during those 40 minutes, they continued to observe and take photos over there. When they emerged again from the far side of the moon, what welcomed them was this Earthrise. Earthrise. The moon's surface is a whole black silhouette. Behind it, a bright crescent Earth slowly emerges. This image is very simple, but it is indeed very beautiful. More pictures follow. Earth is a bit further away again. Cloud layers are still clearly visible. And in some lunar surface areas, if you look closely, you can find the two previously mentioned impact craters again. Further back, there's another interesting set of photos. The 3 crew members are standing by the window in almost the same pose, looking out at Earth together. But the one of Commander Red Wiseman is a bit different. While others look at Earth, he is looking at the Moon. In addition, the officials also released some small, highly candid clips. For example, they are holding iPhones or tablets, checking the photos they just took. The resolution of these images is not as high as the original ones, but you feel they are particularly real, because what you see is not just the photo itself, but the exact moment they finished shooting and are looking back at them. The last part is looking back at Earth. Among the newly released photos this time, many are of the crescent Earth. Earth is only partially illuminated by the sun. This perspective is very special, because normally, we are more used to seeing a crescent moon. But this time, the relationship is reversed. From deep space, they captured a crescent Earth. Now, Artemis II is already on its way back. In fact, it carries more photos and videos. It is just that this content cannot all be transmitted back at once. The Deep Space Network has limited bandwidth, and the highest priority is always the spacecraft status and astronaut health data. So what we are seeing now is only the first batch. Let's look forward to NASA releasing more footage in the future. I am Lauma, see you in the next universe.